I absolutely love Half-Life 2, everything from its visuals and atmosphere to its gameplay aging like a fine wine. Everything about it is perfect and a game I consider one of my all-time favourites, which is a bit awkward considering I've never completed Half-Life 1. Don't get me wrong, I've played the game hundreds of times over the years on many different computers and consoles, but always seem to give up halfway through Office Complex. I think the reason for this is because of a term I've just made up this second, which is sequel syndrome. What that means is I always seem to play the sequel of games first and then go back to the original game in the series, quite disappointed.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
It's happened with Half-Life, Saints Row and even Tekken. I just end up not enjoying them as much as I would and much preferring the sequels. But even though Half-Life 1 hasn't aged nowhere near as well as its sequel, you can't deny that it has had a similar, if not bigger impact on the FPS genre and gaming in general. So why have I never took the time to complete it? Well, there's a few reasons. First reason being that I cannot physically play on a keyboard and mouse for much longer than 20 minutes. I am a console player, but even I'll admit that PC gaming is and always will be clear of consoles. But I've just never been able to get into PC gaming due to my fingers cramping up every time I try to play with keyboard and mouse. I end up missing easy jumps and not being able to walk into a room without hitting every wall in sight. Thankfully, a lot of new PC games have controller support, but old games like Half-Life 1 treat controllers like the plague. The other option on PC is to play the fan-made remake of Half-Life, Black Mesa, and even though this is a great option and very impressive, it's not the original experience from 1998. But you're probably thinking, what about the console port? Well, I have it, and it's shit. Okay, it's not that bad, and it's actually quite impressive seeing Half-Life run on a PS2, but for me the controller isn't built for first-person shooters. They just don't feel as good as they do on the OG Xbox, and it's a similar problem the PS3 had compared to the Xbox 360. The PS2 is perfect for fighting games and platformers, but I've always felt like the Half-Life port just feels clunky and not that fun to play. I even have a copy of the unreleased port on the Dreamcast, and if the PS2 controller wasn't built for FPS games, the Dreamcast one definitely wasn't. I still don't know what they were thinking releasing a console in the 6th generation with one analog stick. But yeah, again, the Dreamcast port is really impressive and just insane they got it working on this hardware, but still not a great way to play the game. Speaking on these console ports though, why the hell was this game never ported to the original Xbox? It would have been perfect. Some men think about the Roman Empire every day. I think about how good a port of the original Half-Life would have been on the OG Xbox. So no luck with PC and no luck with the official console ports. How about the unofficial ports? These are the ports made by modders and fans of the series, which means that you can play Half-Life on an Android phone, a PS Vita, and even a fucking 3DS, which I would not recommend. These ports are really fun, and I even played through quite a big chunk of the game on the PS Vita. But again, the controls, just like the PS2 port, let it down. It's obvious this game was just never made to be played with a traditional controller. So what other option do I have? Well, you've seen the thumbnail, you know what's coming. Of course I played it in VR, thanks to Lambda 1 VR on the MetaQuest 2. If you want to play this for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description where you can download the mod, and it's pretty easy to install. And there are tons of tutorials out there. Anyway, when it comes to modding and installing anything on any device, I always say, if I can do it, anyone can. One little tiny disclaimer before the video properly starts, is that I haven't yet completed this game at the time of recording.
Hey, you know who lives in this house? A great big phony! That's right, a phony lives here! A big fat phony!
Due to time constraints and the fact that playing and recording the game at the same time almost melted my headset, meant that I was only able to record a few hours this week, but the points I wanted to make about the game still stand. Also, I think I'm playing on quite an old build of the mod, so some problems I ran into are
Probably not a problem
anymore. See what I did there? With all that being said, let's get straight into the game. The one part of Half-Life I've played 100 times over is of course the intro, which now consists of me sitting on my phone watching stupid YouTube shorts waiting for it to end. Obviously back in 1998 this was an amazing introduction to the game and its world, going through all the different parts of Black Mesa, but after you've seen it so many times it just becomes a bit tedious. And then you see it in VR. Being in VR really adds to the immersion in Half-Life's world. It's hard to explain if you've never played a VR game before, but once you put the headset on, everything in that game's world starts to feel a bit more real. The amount of times I've tried to lean on a table that's not even there is actually crazy. So this time, going through Black Mesa on the train, I started to notice things I never did before and felt like I was playing something new for the very first time. It's strange that a game from 1998 that looks like this can still feel just as real and immersive as newer games released on the headsets. Obviously once you get off the train, it's time to explore the actual facility. Another part of Half-Life 1's intro that seems tedious nowadays feels completely new and great to explore. I did spend a good 10 to 20 minutes just looking around to see if I could still interact with things, and of course blow up this guy's leftover spag bowl in the microwave.
God, what are you doing?
This version of the game does a good job of making you want to actually re-explore Black Mesa, and also giving the intro sequence back its purpose for introducing you to the world in a whole new way. Not long until you find yourself in the test chamber, getting ready for the experiment when the inevitable happens. Once the experiment goes wrong, you get to see Black Mesa in a completely different way, being destroyed and falling apart from the oncoming invasion. From someone who's never really found the original Half-Life scary at all, playing it in VR turns it into more of a survival horror than ever before. Going through the tight corridors, hearing the noises in the background, gives it a really uneasy feeling. Seeing the first head crab, which in Half-Life 1 and 2 normally are just annoying little enemies, but in this are absolutely terrifying, jumping at you in VR. I will never get used to it. This footage you're seeing now is literally me cowering in fear because I know one is trying to jump at me. Compare that to how laid back I am playing the original version, just goes to show how much difference VR can make to a 25-year-old game. Coming across most enemies in this version can be a bit intimidating. Seeing them up close and personal really does add a layer of horror that the game has lost in recent years. The perfect example of the intensity being turned way up to 100 is in the chapter Blast Chamber, where you come across whatever the fuck this is. These tentacles, arms, fucking eyelashes of this monster are deadly and can kill you in one hit. Thankfully it can't see you, but it can hear you. Going into the blast pit where this thing is so intense it's not so bad in the normal version, but in VR butt cheeks get clenched rather quickly as you chuck grenades across the room to distract it and then try to make it to the next safe area before it turns around to attack you. It was actually quite fun. Terrifying, but fun. In the other version you can just have a quick look with a flick of a mouse, but in this you literally have to turn your head to see what's behind you, which most of the time I didn't even want to know what was going on behind me. You have to go through this room a few times, each one being more intense than the last, especially if you like me and forget to refill your bastard grenades. The reason I've highlighted this part of the game in this video in particular is to just try and explain how simple things that you can normally just breeze through in certain games can be intensified in VR, and that is exactly why I chose to experience this classic game in this way. Also, I kinda got stuck on it for almost the whole recording session one of the days. I feel like playing this game in VR almost adds another layer of horror and intensity to it. The way the game translates so well into VR is so impressive, as it was never intended to be played this way. So how does the game control? Well, really good actually. Thanks to the analog sticks for movement and turning, I don't get all cramped up like I do on the PC, and because the aiming is done through literally aiming the gun myself, I still get that PC precision and not the clunky aiming you get on consoles. In a way, the VR version offers the best of both worlds, and ultimately is the reason it's my favourite way to play this game. Movement feels great. I never felt like I was getting stuck on any sort of platforming parts, and the controls for sprinting, crouching and jumping have been mapped perfectly. Ladders can be a bit of a problem though, but ladders are always a problem in Half-Life games, so I'll give that a pass. Like I said at the start, sadly I didn't get to play through all of the game, so I haven't been able to use all the weapons, but from what I've used so far they all feel great. Even the throwing of the grenades is super easy to do, considering grenades are always quite janky in VR games. You can also use a laser sight on any weapon by clicking in the left stick to get those hard to reach headshots, and also the reloading, just like in the base game, is left to one simple button press. I do like in some games you have to manually reload guns, but I think for Half-Life 1, keeping it the same as the original was the right call. If I had to nitpick one thing, it would be the weapon selection. It's done by simply going up or down on the right analog stick, then pressing the right trigger to select, which most of the time is no problem, but when I was in the more intense situations I ended up pressing it by accident and having the wrong weapon equipped. Again, it's not too bad, and there is nothing in here that I would consider game breaking. It all works perfectly and has translated over to VR like it was always supposed to be here, and for me is the best way to play this classic game. So why have I decided to make this random video about a VR mod of a 25-year-old game? Well, there's a few reasons. I wanted to play a Valve game this week, as there is just something so special about how they build their world and atmosphere in their games. I didn't want to just play through Half-Life 2 or Portal for the 100th time, and this was the perfect way to scratch that itch. Another reason is because recently I've noticed I've been getting a few more views on the channel, and most of the content I've been releasing has been Tekken content, and I'm coming up to the end of the Tekken videos. With only 3 games left to talk about in the series, I just wanted to show that this isn't going to be a Tekken channel. I do like playing a massive variety of games, and I will be talking about a lot of different ones in the months to come, but most importantly, The reason I made this video is just to showcase how amazing the modding community is. If you've ever downloaded a mod for a game, the person who made it probably isn't even earning anything for it and just doing it out of their passion for the game. So I want to say a massive thank you to Team Beef VR Game Ports for creating this port of Half-Life 1, and I wouldn't mind seeing a port of Half-Life 2. But then again, my MetaQuest 2 might just explode if that ever happened. But also, to any modders out there, thank you for working tirelessly to give people hours more of content in their favourite games for next to nothing in return. You guys truly are the goats of the gaming community. I just want to say a massive thank you for watching this video. I know it's not up to the high standards of my Tekken videos. It's been a bit shorter, a bit less edited, if that makes sense. I just wanted to split up the Tekken retrospectives a bit, just so I don't get burnt out and end up putting less effort into the Tekken Tag one. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different, do something in VR. I love playing games in VR, especially Half-Life 1. It's been really fun. I wish I completed it this week, but I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. I know it's been a bit different. I thought I'd do something that isn't Tekken, just for the new subscribers, new viewers, to show that I'm not just going to be making Tekken videos. So if you have subscribed for Tekken content, then there's still 3 or 4 videos I'm going to make, possibly even a few more after the retrospectives are finished, but it's not going to be a Tekken channel. So if you have subscribed for that reason, I do apologise. I hope you stick around, because I have got way more ideas for way more games in the coming months. Obviously, I thought I'd make something a bit different now, just to ease you into it. Obviously, we've still got the Tekken Tag 2 video coming up next weekend, and then I wanted the Tekken 7 video straight after that, and then I've done the retrospectives. I never thought I'd finish a retrospective series this long in my life. I just want to say a massive thank you, not only for watching this video, but for the support on the Tekken videos the last couple of weeks. Thank you for watching the video, liking it, commenting on it, and subscribing. It really means a lot, and it's really motivated me to carry on and being more consistent with my uploads, which I think I've uploaded almost every week now. So I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to keep trying. But yeah, the support on the last few videos has been insane. I was not expecting this amount of support on the channel since I come back in January. But yeah, it's so fun to see so many people enjoying the content, and yeah, I'm going to keep it going. So don't worry about that. I'm not going to go on another 4 months hiatus. I am sticking around, and I am going to try and stick to a schedule. And yeah, there's not much else to say other than Tekken Tag 2 retrospective will be out next week. And other than that, there's not much else to say. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you when I see you.